LCO, it is week 5, day 3. Skimmy's decided to bail. Something's gone wrong. That's okay. He's off. Be right back. No worries. He'll be along very soon. Tally, it's you and me, man. Wait, Skimmy.
He's back.
What are you doing?
I was still moving on my screen, man, and I just see like the BRB screen. I'm like, oh, not again, dude.
We were ready to go, man. We were ready. Me and Tally were like primed. We were like, yep, we're sorted.
You can't
Skimmy.
replace Skimmy. He's crucial.
That's true. We can't. We just need Vendrick back. We get the triple rangers. Tally gets his little lower thirds camera for that one, and we're good to go. That's what we do. But that's okay. We're in for another series on the final night of the Super Week. Let's take a look at our rosters for the final series this week. Fury have been cooking some things in the oven, and it's tasting delicious, Tally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am curious, you know, going into this game, are we going to see the Fury being banned? Are we going to see it being picked again? Because it was, you know, the major champion in this last series that we saw out of Fury. Is it going to, you know, cop the respect, man? Because you just don't have experience against this champion. Does Chirp have different AD picks in his pocket that he's ready to pull out, you know, to really enable Nox? Because they look so much more comfortable playing this way.
I'm really keen to see it. I think if we can get the Neferi again, it's such a unique playstyle, and I think it really fits into the team comp and the team identity that Fury's looking for. So look at this, like straight off the bat, he's going deep, he wants blood, just like the dogs, and I know exactly the line that you just sort of, who let the dogs out, and this is another set of dogs you have to be worried about, Skimmy.
You certainly do. Another roster shuffle, right? Emphis returns to the Direwolves, having played for them last split last year. And a chance to showcase what he can do, pushing Chungi up into the top lane. And Mayfan goes into the jungle. So a massive, massive shuffle. And I guess adding yet another layer of like, okay, how much better does this make them? Because you hear Katsuri saying that, you know, a lot of this time we've been playing with subs. It's not our full roster at full potential. What a way to get reintroduced into a team when it's like, we must win because this is our biggest competition at this point, deciding whether or not we can make it into the upper bracket.
I think that's the big conversation, right? Is because we even spoke with like Katsuri that Chungi was like almost like the missing piece for that roster where he, sitting in mid, could come bot and is now put into the top lane. What does that mean for the draft though, Tally?
I'm not quite sure actually, because there's not a lot of carryover between mid and top right now in terms of champion pool, but we're going to have to wait and see what specific champion Chungi is looking to play in the top lane, because I assume this is like a premeditated game plan. They do know this was going to happen. It probably wasn't a surprise. And, you know, this might be the final form that Katsuri was talking about in, you know, weeks past.
Well, I think they were sort of hinting at that the whole time. Like, each week they were sort of like, yeah, no, we're still not the final form. Like, they're still evolving. It's like, yeah, well, the cocoon has flourished. It is now the beautiful butterfly that we've been hoping for. It's sadly in the form of a dog. Not sure what sort of cocoon that is. Closest to like an alien cocoon even. But still, it does damage, and I'm expecting big things, Skimmy. One
thing I will say is that for Emphis, he's got a bit of a unique champion pool, very much akin to his best being the Ahri. Loves a bit of Syndra. Many times in the past also plays supportive style Karma to try and really feed into this idea that like a double support comp is going to be their bread and butter. I would say there's a bit of an overlap between him and Chirp, well, at least before Chirp played in the Neferi, where they are both exclusively AP playing individuals. So it should be quite interesting, because I feel like your traditional double AD carry setup is probably not going to feature in this match unless these two have been working very diligently to try and add that to their game.
Well, we'll have to see, but let's have a look at a quick, cheeky head-to-head of our supports going forward. Like, this is the fine. Look at that Pan. He's ready to smack someone up. He's the Nautilus Pan. There should be a skin for that. Like, okay. Cooking Nautilus. Skin idea, don't worry about it. But Shinky too, Tally. These guys have been looking pretty good.
Yeah, they both have, you know, very wide champion pools. We look at, you know, the champion pool of Shinky, and there's just a lot more variance in it. We see the mix of, you know, range champs and these engaged champs. Also, I think the Bard in itself is a very unique pick that can punish certain champions. But then we look across at the pool, you know, coming out of Final, and it's just all these engaged champions, you know, with the one Braum game. Braum, very OP champ right now, especially into the meta. I really want to see more of it, and I'm glad it is popping up. And if it is something that Final does prioritize going forward, happy for them.
I think the big thing there is you mentioned that they're very much engaged, focused on Fury. So I think it's interesting when we see the Braum come out, because you guys have all said that it's fairly defensive. Do you think we'll start seeing a bit of a different gameplay from this bot lane, especially with the movements of like Chungi and Emphis moving into these different roles for Skimmy?
I think there's certainly a lot of flexibility. I'd imagine the supports would be quite keen to showcase their ability to impact the draft, much like some of these Premier teams do, right? Certainly, they've got very good AD carries to rely upon, both in Hooper and Katsuri, so they can demand the resources, I assume, in saying, look, we need to play engaged because we're going to have carry threats elsewhere. I think I'd be very taken aback if we had 2 Enchanters and just had a very, very passive, you know, Jinx Aphelios kind of meta. I feel like we are going to go all out engaged, but certainly the likes of the Bards, the Poppies and whatnot, all just kind of like weird and wacky champions that can look to try and punish, especially on the red side 5th pick. I wouldn't put it amiss. So yeah, I'm really curious to sort of see what the game plan is for both these teams with more role swaps and more ideas brought to the table.
Well, we also know that Findo likes to go on those journeys. Do you think we'll ever see him whip out the Bard, Tally?
Oh, absolutely. I think that Bard is a champ who is, you know, always viable, and it's just like if the team feels comfortable pulling it out, it can function as this, you know, weak side champ. I also think it's a really good counter into Braum. So if Braum comes up as a priority pick and he starts getting blind picked, really good counter. Very good into the mobile champions like the Jinx and Aphelios don't have access to the Gale Force anymore, so not something you can avoid without the flash.
Okay, well, I'm pretty keen to see that. I like Bard as champion. I know Rusty would be chuffed to see it one more time, but same time, who knows? But right now, we have someone else joining us on the desk. It's Nox himself, the star jungler for Fury, coming in hot. Mate, when are we ever going to see your damn Bel'Veth?
Bel'Veth? I don't know. Maybe today. I think
maybe today. You sort of get me on the edge of my seat there, too. You're like, like, oh, yeah. But it's been banned a lot, though. That's the big thing. You finding a bit of disappointment in that?
Yeah, I guess. It's just, if they ban it, I just pick AP jungles then, so it's pretty chill.
True. It's looking so strong. Looking so strong. But I gotta ask quickly, why do you like Bel'Veth? Like, what's the reason?
Bel'Veth, because you can just like permanent raid, right? It's like how do I win games? Like how I win games, just permanent raiding. And that champ
so learning a little bit more. Yeah, nice. All right, well, I know Tally's got a question for you.
Yeah, I mean, so speaking more about AP junglers, we finally got to see you being enabled last week, you know, with the comps your team was drafting. And are you finally happy to, you know, be enabled by your team and get to play these carry junglers after all this time?
Yeah, I'm just happy I can play AP junglers, to be honest. Cause,
and are there any like other? I was gonna say, are there any other specific picks? You know, we've seen in the Fury as that AD mid cover. Is there anything else you guys have been cooking up?
Yeah, we've been cooking a lot in scrims, but I don't know if I can say them. But like, yeah, we got some more, obviously.
I can't wait.
Perfect. I'm excited for that, mate, because obviously we got to see you play the Zyra the first time. All this hype around the Zyra champion. Obviously so punishing, right? If they go for an objective, they reveal themselves. You going for the invades, as you mentioned. You literally took everything across the wall, no punishment going against it. So was this a clear identity that, like, you know, everybody else in the league is playing AP junglers, we need to get on the trend, and that you and Chirp have been working really, really hard to make sure that you can be the strongest 2v2?
Yeah, that's what I've been telling Chirp, to like practice some AD mids. He's practicing and he's actually really good on them, so I'm happy. Beautiful.
Perfect.
Finally seeing some cooking, and I can't wait for you to get in the next split. We're gonna get you with a cool profile picture of you holding a pan or something like Findo. You're always cooking something. I'm just like, yeah, I just want to see that. Maybe get like a spatula or something too. We'll hit the TFT golden spatula. Like, yeah. But no, Nox, thank you so much for jumping on, mate. It was great to have you on. We'll see you in series.
Thank you.
I like that they're cooking.
Ooh, they're cooking.
Nah, he said cooking.
You said cooking.
No,
wait,
they're ready to go.
Are they the only team in the league that we can't say they're cooking? Instead, we have to say they're frying?
Oh. Yeah, why not? Why not? We'll do that from now on.
No, I don't know if I can hold you guys to that. I don't know if I can do it.
But their code is fry.
You can't
it's
stop us.
fry. I know exactly what
on
you
the
mean.
cast.
I can't stop you.
You do the cringe puns. You can do the cringe puns, and we'll say frying.
They're frying.
Handshakes, I'll be the middleman. Boom.
Wow, of course, I get it wrong. Let's not worry about it. Yeah, I'll stick to my cringe puns and getting my directions wrong. Basically, Zoro from One Piece. Don't even worry about it. But no, really good to hear Nox coming in. He's looking good. They're like, even with the Belvet, he's like, I'm on AP champions. We saw the Zyra. It's nice to see them finding their form, Tally.
Yeah, honestly, bye-bye Belvet. The champ doesn't really fit in the meta right now. It's all about the, double 80 carries with that mage. I keep saying it over and over again, but it's just what is so strong right now. If they do get to find this recipe for success, and if they do have more, weapons in the toolbox, or, they are frying it up in scrims, I'm really excited to see what they play today.
I'm going to have to start getting for these games just like different kitchen utensils. I'll just bring it in. Every interview, I'll just bring up a new one. I'll just start, like you always have to do like the 3 clicks of your tongs on a barbecue. Just
they don't work if you don't do that. It's like a superstition. Every guy knows this.
You have to check.
Yeah. If it doesn't click, it doesn't work, and that's fine. But we've got our next interview coming up as well.
You gotta use it. Like it's just known.
Stop it. But no, I believe it's Shinky coming onto the desk, looking so good as well. Look at this beautiful.
Hey, that's not
Shinky. It's Chungy.
What am I doing, Chungy? I'm so sorry, man. I even called the interview and I got it wrong. I heard Shinky in my head. Chungy, you're in our top lane now, man. You're also the top of my heart. How are you feeling tonight?
Yeah, look pretty nervous. I'm role swapping again, but I have played top lane 5 years ago in OCS, so I think I'm chilling.
Okay. Half a century, feeling good. Just pulling that out of the memory. Are we expecting anything sort of bit of I'm not going to say frying, but any cooking mentality coming out from Direwolves this week?
I mean, I do have a pick. It might get bad, not sure, but we'll first pick if it's open, so they're just saying.
Okay.
Exciting.
A little bit much. Okay. Tally?
And yeah, so I was doing my due diligence today. I was doing some research on player solo queues and stuff, accounts and stuff. And like I looked up your account on the ladder and I was like, wait, hold up. Is this the right person? I was like, I saw a certain champ being said, I won't spoil it right now, but, I linked it to Skimmy. I was like, hold up, like, are we seeing a potential lane swap today? And I want to know, because Katsuri talks about, we're not at our final form yet, we're still trying to get that proper roster together. Is this what you guys would consider your final roster, or is there still more shuffles to happen?
I do believe this is our playoff roster. We just thought that having Mayfan in the jungle is best suited for the team, so... we did realize that Emphas was still a part of our team, so we figured putting me in top lane and bringing Emphas back is probably the go-to.
Awesome. I'm really excited to see you play top, actually.
But I'm keen to sort of ask you the question, I suppose, because this roster, probably more than anyone, without me double-checking, has had so many different roster swaps and then so many role swaps on top of that, right? So I suppose my question to you is, do you think transitioning from mid to top is maybe the hardest role swap? We've seen plenty do it in the past, and you say, yeah, it's just another solo lane, but the dynamic is so different.
Yeah, so like my biggest concern would be the champs. I can't play every single champion, and I've only had like a week practice in top lane. But there are some champions that I can pick in top lane that I have played mid, so yeah.
We're becoming Broken Blade. It's Yasuo, it's Yone. We're just doing it in the top lane, and like, yeah, I'm so hyped.
He said the one champion I want is like, he's played the Yasuo before, popped off. We're going to see Yasuo top lane, it's going to pop off. That's exactly what I'm expecting. Now, Chunky, while we've still got you, potentially, yeah, I like that. Secrets. With the way the Direwolves are sitting right now, and you said this is sort of like your final form, we've sort of noticed that when you came in onto the mid, you sort of took over, and it was you and Katsuri's show, being very aggressive, sort of the stars, right? Now that your team's fully formed, who would you put the star highlight show on? Who should we watch tonight? I
still think Katsuri is like our best player. He's been the most consistent, I think, throughout every single game so far. But I'm surprised how I'll be surprised at how Emphas will perform. I think he's pretty good, like considering his solo queue rank at the moment. But yeah, we'll see how it goes today. But I still think Katsuri's our best player at the moment still.
What's his rank?
I think it's top 10, I believe. But yeah.
Ooh, not good enough. Needs to be number 1. as a platinum
You
player,
stun-locked Chungy! Leave the poor man alone!
No, I gotta push these guys further, you know, they gotta get good. But no, Chungy, thank you so much for being on, man. I do believe you're good. Don't stress about that. Thank you so much for coming on and have a great series.
Thank you.
I feel bad.
I was so ready for him to be like, yeah, he's Hardstuck Emerald, and we're like, isn't that the Riot account? Like,
well, he did say, you know, I was surprised that he's good, you know, based on his ranks. I was like, oh, he's like stuck in low master or diamond stuff. He's like, nah, he's top 10. I was like, what?
Yep.
That's okay. Let's have a look at the sides that these two teams have decided to pick up. And it's red side for Fury, blue side for Direwolves. Are we starting to see Direwolves enter into that top tier, like, player or the team mentality tally?
Yeah, I think that blue side is the correct choice. I agree with Harry completely that I don't think there are counter picks to the current, you know, mid lane pool, especially bot lane pool. I think that you most of the time do get to have that support counter pick on blue side just based on the fact that you can, you know, either blind pick a support that you think is just uncounterable like the Leona or like the Nautilus, which you're going to do your job, or just, you know, pick your support later because the enemy is kind of forced to, you know, pick the support and hide the solo lanes for that later pick in the draft. So I just think blue side a bit stronger right now than red side, especially, you know, I am a camera angle fan and it's just much more comfortable in the blue.
You're a camera angle fan?
Yeah.
You just like that side?
Yeah, I like
agree with that,
the blue side camera angle is much stronger.
Yeah, I fully agree. Actually, quick question. What do you guys play with, unlocked cam or locked cam?
I mean, that's a trick question. It's a trick question, right?
You play with both? Like you swap between?
Well, okay, what you should do is play with an unlocked camera and then like I use my thumb to press spacebar to center the camera on my champion.
Yeah, that's unlocked cam still.
Yeah.
That's still unlocked cam because you're just centering.
Do not play with a locked camera ever.
That's literally LP donating. that is a crime.
Well, Skimmy, what do you play with?
Well, I just do the exact same as Tally, right? You're just like always like pinging over the map and then spamming spacebar to recenter yourself in the middle of a team fight, don't get lost. Yeah, that's anything else. I would say is probably wrong.
I'm still trying to mirror like a Faker. You know that one clip from Faker when he's like jumping between like 50 different tabs and he's playing like Osu and then he's like playing CS and he's playing League and he's like on the stage. I was like, I just need to get to that level, and I'm like, yeah, I could do that. Probably can't. I think my computer would blow up, but I just wanted to find out. But no, interesting to see the sides as we get back to the actual series that we're in. I think the red side's interesting pick. I think Fury might be thinking something in particular. I think, does that give a bit more prior to like top side or blue side, bottom side Tally as well?
I would say red side is always about, you know, solo lane priority, about finding good matchups. You know, either it's going to be you pick your solo lane on the 3, ban out 2 champs to blanket cover them. You get a good matchup, pick the other solo lane on 5, get 2, like, you know, 1, you know, good lane with bans and another with a counter. So people who prioritize red side always value counter picks, or maybe there is a specific duo that they want to pick on 1-2 that they can't really guarantee on the blue side. And, you know, those are the main reasons why you would go for the red.
Yes, or Diana. No, we probably won't get that. That'll be a Bliss thing. That'll come out. But no, ladies and gentlemen, get those Twitch channel points in because it's that direction. Don't worry, I fixed myself. I looked silly before, won't look silly again. Get those points in, support your favorite team. That is what it's all about. You get so many if you get it right, and if you decide to go for the other team and you get it wrong, that's okay. You can just earn it back. Like me and Tally, we've already been under that, so that's fine. Skimmy's fine. He's basically, actually, we're all tied for our talent predictions, which leads me to the next point. Our actual talent predictions of who's going to win tonight, because right now we're still all tied at 18. Twitch chat sitting so good at 20, but ooh, Skimmy, why?
Look, I am a big fan of Katsuri. I believe that he's had a rough go of it this year in terms of the rosters, him having to almost like bring up a bunch of brand new rookies and new exciting prospects. He's always remained consistent. He's always remained stable. And I think if the team rally around him, and especially when you've got players swapping around roles, new players coming in, ease of execution should always be the name of the game. We talk about it like a broken record, but I think that team has, in the past, shown, especially as they're a group of mates, that they can look to work and, yeah, should be coming out the gate swinging. So, look, it's not to take anything away from Fury. I think they're an incredibly good team. I just wanted to be a little bit different compared to you, lads.
Well, now we're going to get Tally's prediction. Why have you gone for the draw?
I agree with Skimmy. I think that Direwolf's bot side is their strength and will be their main win condition, but I also think that with the new look of Nox and Chirp, it's kind of hard to go against the fact that they can, you know, pull out something that they have been frying up in the pan. It's a bit scary as a team who doesn't have much experience, especially against, you know, Nefiri. I think that, personally, if I versus that champ on stage, I wouldn't feel too comfortable playing aggressive in my lane, and, you know, conceding a bit too much in the early game might, you know, lead to you losing a game.
Yeah. That is literally word for word what I was going to say. How'd you read my mind?
Oh, was it? Wow.
Yeah.
You even said frying when you said you didn't want to say frying. Interesting.
He's a liar.
He is a liar. Caught in 4K.
He's a fibber.
Whoops. What can I say? No, but I do agree, actually. I think the chirp picks that are coming out is definitely a bit spicier. It's adding a bit more flavor to Fury, so I don't think you can count them out. I think the big thing is, yes, Direwolves now have their dream team. I think you can't ignore that either, so you can't give it to both sides. I think it came down to what sides they actually picked, and when I went and did my research and saw that they had picked those sides, I was like, all right, I want to see what they're frying up. Oh, now it's just part of my habit.
Bit of flavor in the fry pan.
Yeah, it's okay. There's a bit of chicken out there for everyone. But no, it's looking pretty good. I'm really keen to see how Fury's going to pull out some new comps. Again, like we've seen this sort of one that Chirp went double Nefiri. Like you also mentioned before, is it going to get banned? Is there some other AD mid laner that Chirp can pull out that he's been practicing? I don't know. I'm excited to find out. But we'll just have to wait and see though, Tally, because game's coming up very soon. We'll just have to get ready for it when it is ready. But is there anything you'd like to see in the mid lane from Chirp?
Well, okay, if I think off the top of my head, like, what's an AD mid laner that is, you know, kind of viable that we haven't already seen? You know, we've seen the Zed, we've seen in the Fury, so I feel like that ticks off, like, two of the very surprising
We had
picks.
Jace from Chang'e, I believe.
True. You know, we still haven't seen the Talon. You know, I'm a personal big Talon fan. I think that could potentially be a good, you know, competitive champion when it has a decent lane, because it is one of those champs who, when it has a good flank, can absolutely blow up a team fight. And I had my stint of playing, I think, 70 Talon games in a row on solo queue. Dropped 400 LP, but can be good in the right hands.
Drop 400 LP.
Can be, might be, but we'll have to see if talent is picked up as the game is ready. Bon voyage, gents. I'm going to go get my actual dinner now. Enjoy.
Beautiful. All right, Pike, well, you get yourself sorted out there as we get to figure out what are these crazy pocket picks, rather, that these teams have been cooking up. The Nefiri denied, Praise-based champion in the Aatrox denied, and then Mr. President himself in Katsuri, so far, double 80 carry bans to him.
Yeah, and, you know, I think Direwolves are, you know, working down the checklist, removing what was, you know, looked so strong on Prey, removing the Fury from Chirp. So if they are, you know, frying up something, Skimmy, it is the time for them to pull it out. Orianna being picked straight away. Emphis probably is one of his better champions, a very solid laner, but a champion who can be quite susceptible to these assassins that might come out of Chirp. So I'm curious to see what he does want to play in the mid lane right now.
That's the one. Very, very interesting to see this one come out. As opposed to the Ahri, right? Especially because we have the Faker skin. We saw Styx utilize it. Plus 20% damage as a result of that one. The buff is just too powerful. Because he knocks very, very happy. He gets his hands on the Zyra and then the Yone to boot as well. Is this a top lane? Or is this Chirp showcasing that I am much more than what I've shown so far?
I would think this, well, it can still be a flex, but it most likely will go to mid. I think we got baited by Nox a bit in the interview. You know, it is an AD mid laner coming out of Chirp, but it's not that, you know, out of this world surprising. So unfortunately, we don't get to see some crazy assassin picks, but a very solid pick of Yone into the Orianna. Doesn't do too well in the 1v1, but, you know, with the Doran Shield, with the second win, with the fleet footwork, can sustain up, get to that first recall where you can start trading more aggressively onto the Orianna.
Well, it's a Zinzel that is going to come out to play, and before he made the big switch up into the top lane, he'd only played a couple of games of the Zen, so certainly not his go-to champion. Viego would be at the top of that table, but a chance for him to be very aggressive and look to block out a whole bunch of these projectiles. There's the Gragas, though, as a chance for him to not only have the engage tools, but also just a whole bunch of disengage too. His Emphis is seemingly flashbanging himself. What is going on there?
Alt tab to Discord, not in dark mode, so just flashbang yourself. Can't see what's going on the draft. But we see that the Gragas being picked by Direwolves, you know, could potentially mean this will go top. But I think this could be a mistake by Fury, because this should still be a flex pick for Shinky. We know that he can play as champion, and with Prey locking in the Fiora, feeling so comfortable in that 1v1, might not realize that this could go to the bot lane and he could get counterpicked.
That he certainly could. We know that Shinky loves to experiment because he used to be a top laner for a split as well. So certainly they can say, well, we've seen a Fiora, now we've got the chance to try and answer back towards how we can counter this one. And Shinky's certainly known to, you know, experiment around with different options. They're not going to take the bait just yet, though. Fury going to ban away the Leona as we probably go down the list of, you know, all those premier engaging tools. But as for Direwolves, I'm curious as to what they think is the necessary ban themselves.
Well, they're both teams should target the bot lane. That's the only chance left in the game to be picked. So, you know, Direwolves most likely are going to be blind picking the support. So they want to get rid of, you know, the disengaged champs like the Braum or, you know, like the Tahm Kench potentially, and pick themselves that aggressive champion in the bot lane. Like Nautilus, Leona is already removed. So Nautilus will be the one left open and will probably be the one that Shinky does want to go towards. Or, you know, this could be the top lane coming out of Direwolves and, you know, this support will go to bot lane, even though it would be a blind pick Gragas. The counter pick onto Fiora, we all know how valuable that can be in our solo queue games, and in the competitive scene that is even more relevant.
Yeah, a champion like Fiora certainly has struggled in the past in the LCO, right? The ability to try and translate that individual 1v1 prowess into a team fight scenario. Certainly easier said than done. So many have tried and so many have unfortunately failed to emulate what we see over in, say, like the LPL, for instance. So let's see if Prey can finally, you know, vanquish those demons and say, you know what? Another pocket pick has to be denied when you face us in Fury. So the Nautilus does get banned in the end. 4 supports removed from the equation. Couple that with the free 80 carries. And Hooper now still has so many great options. And Nazeri is what he's looked the best on.
What does it say, Skimmy? I'm trying to read the whiteboard in the back. I just can't put it together. It's not clicking in my brain. It's always a pun to do with the team, but it's just not clicking from this game. But we do see Hooper, you know, lock in the Zeri. We did see the Jhin hover. I think that would have been a good pick too. You know, pairing up the utility with the, you know, triple carry top side coming out of his team. But Hooper, really known for these aggressive mobile champions, and getting the Zeri for himself is just a nice pick up for Fury.
It really, really is. They're going to say, though, we want the Varus, we want even more initiation tools. This is absolutely terrifying. If you talk about a full wombo combo setup, delivery package on the Orianna, you cannot get too upset by that one. But what is the champ that brings it all together? Is the Gragas going towards the Fury? Is the Gragas getting flexed to the bot lane? Well, with this Rakan hover, it would certainly seem that the Gragas is just going to have to cop the L.
I got the voice of God, Skimmy. It's we're in dire straits, so, you know, we do get to see what is on the whiteboard. Very nice, you know. I like to see these interactions in the background from players as they, you know, set up some, you know, plushies, whiteboards, showing off, you know, these neat beds, because we were talking about how in weeks past, a clean bed is a clean game, you know. It's always about carrying over your outside to the inside of the Summoner's Rift, and if you do have that nice setup IRL, you're going to feel comfortable on the Rift Skimmy to, you know, have these really clean performances, especially on a champ like the Poppy into, you know, so many dashes coming out the Direwolf side.
Absolutely. This Poppy, the value is through the roof. Very, very happy to lock this one here. And I'm curious to sort of see how this will affect the laning matchup, given the fact that Shinky was the only other person to lock it in as a support. So a chance for them to say, all right, we know what your game plan is. We know what you're going to be hunting for, but will I grant you that opportunity to deliver? And also in that same mention, we've talked about, you know, the Rakan, how popular that's been in the right hands. Absolutely devastating. That's KDA was like still high 20 for such a long time. Will it remain right after this?
Yeah, and I think that both drafts coming out of, you know, each team goes to show the style that they're going for. Dire was very, you know, team fight oriented. We look at their comp, not, you know, very strong on the side lane, but they have good engage coming out of the Varus Rakan. Gragas is that champ who can, you know, absorb a lot of the pressure on the side coming out of the Fiora or the Yone. But if this Orianna doesn't, you know, maintain an even or a head lead in the game, it's going to suffer a lot against these side lane matchups, especially the Yone. We saw how strong Harry was on that side lane in the last series, and pair that with Nox running around the map on the Zyra, creating these CS leads and being this champ who can really disengage the initial onslaught of the Direwolves comp. I think that Fury are very comfortable with what they've got this game.
Well, that's what I take away from this comp tally, right? Is there's so much dueling potential, so much ability to try and outplay one another, right? With the Poppy to interrupt, with the Steadfast Presence, the Zeri to outmaneuver you. But then a Fiora and Yone dashing right at you, and if that wasn't enough, they've got the CC with the Zyra to not only get incredibly fed as that sole source of AP, but to deny everything if Mayfun reveals and is unable to gain anything on their side. Let's load ourselves into the Rift for our second series of the night. This is the big one. This is the close affair between two teams that are really keen to get themselves that upper bracket position. Iron at this stage, they are in 4th, but Direwolves and Fury are hot on their heels, ready to prove they deserve to take that position for themselves.
Yeah, and, you know, looking at how this game is going to play out, I would really like to see Fury not group and team fight around these objectives. I think in a straight up 5v5, they are at a disadvantage. A lot of their pressure comes from these winning 1v1s on the side. So, you know, focus on your laning phase, focus on, you know, getting a CS lead in the jungle and in the solo lanes, and, you know, go to the sides, create numbers advantage where you can collapse onto the enemy team. You know, the really nice thing about their comp is they have 2 disengage tools in, you know, the Poppy ult and the Zyra ult to really deny direwolves that engage onto them. When you look at the direwolf side, they want to be as a unit, they want to group up, they want to siege, they want to play around these objectives, and that's where their comp really shines.
I'm curious then, to that same point, as to why do you think it is that Fura struggles and suffers so much in, say, OS compared to the other regions?
I wouldn't say it struggles in OS compared to other regions. I think it struggles in every region. You know, maybe in solo queue you could view it as the players are better in other regions, so they just have a, you know, easier time carrying these 1v9 scenarios. But the problem with split pushes in League right now is towers are so hard to kill. It's so easy to clear waves on so many champions, like the Gragas. Even though he won't be able to win the 1v1, he can clear out the waves. He can deny Fiora from being able to just take these turrets as the game goes on, if he does manage to stay even. But in the hands of the right person, Fiora is a very high skill ceiling champion, and as the game does get later on, you know, when we see those 4, 5, 6 item Fioras or these bruises in general, they start to be able to, you know, have pressure in these team fights because they're so tanky, and using their kits well can mean that they can one-shot a carry and just blow up a game.
But that is the key takeaway, right? You mentioned 4, 5, 6 items, which is very, very late into the game. And it's as simple as saying, why play Fiora when you can item spike earlier and just play Camille, which can contribute a little bit more?
Honestly, no. Why play Fiora or Camille when you can just play Cassante? You know, he does pretty much the same thing as the side laner who's a tank, also one-shots your carries. You know, it's just everything that you really need in the champion. That's why we see a lot of priority on champs like the Cassante or even the Skarner, because they are these strong duelists who can, you know, stand up to these bruises, but they are also tanks who can participate in team fights. And I think that the one downfall of, you know, Fiora and Camille is if they aren't insanely ahead, it's so much harder for them to team fight and they just become one-dimensional.
They certainly can be. Well, a slight pause as we get ourselves into this one. Not too sure what the issue is at this stage, but hopefully it's nothing too major that delays us for far too long. I think it is interesting, though, when we discuss, especially from the bot lane, in terms of that meta and how much we're going to be spending our time comparing the likes of Hooper and Katsuri as to who can be just that much more impactful. A lot of attention went to denying Katsuri from his comfort. They've put him onto a champion in the Varus, which is definitely one of his top 3. But they've removed that mobility element, right? So a case of, yeah, direwolves can hit you with the shockwave combo, plenty of CC engage, but very difficult to try and escape, you know, if a Fiora or a Yone gets on top of the Varus.
Yeah, absolutely. This is it's kind of good and bad being Varus into these types of teams, you know, because they are so squishy, your damage will be insanely high. And if he does want to go for that lethality build, you know, landing any poke onto the, you know, like the Yone or the Zyra, it will stick. It will do so much damage. But at the same time, you are a mobile champion. If you get flanked, if you get singled out in a 1v1 in a team fight, you will die. You can't peel yourself against the Yone, especially when he has the, you know, Fate Unbound to be able to buffer your CC coming out of the Chains of Corruption. Fiora can parry your self peel. Just a lot of threats onto Katsuri this game, and I think that removing him from his, you know, comfortability and the mobile AD carries was a good choice by Fury.
What would you like to sort of see then as the game plan for both of these teams? Because I look at direwolves and say, well, their impact is mostly felt from level 6 onwards, right? So many game-changing ultimate abilities. But as for Fury, is it a case of just be incredibly aggressive, force it as 1v1s because you have so many duelists, and almost try and engage the jungler to not want to go towards full clearing and constantly either, you know, lane protecting or just hovering so that the Zyra can do so much counter jungling?
Well, you know, in the straight 1v1, if Mayfan does find Nox, he will, you know, outright kill the Zyra, just how these bruises work in the early game. Nox is just good at farming the camps and disengaging these fights. As he does get more levels later on, he will be able to do so much to the Xin, and it'll be harder for Mayfan to go into these fights. But for direwolf's side particularly, I would like to see them enabling Emphis in the mid lane. I don't think Shinki and Katsuri particularly have a lot of kill pressure onto their duo lane, so using the priority from the Varus to, you know, rotate the Rakan to mid lane and make sure there's vision for Emphis all the time. So in his 1v1, he can bully out the Yone because we know how strong Orianna is as a laner, and Mayfan always being around to make sure he's there to counter gank if any, you know, scenarios come up where Nox does want to walk into the mid lane. But on the other side, as Fury, they do have these lanes that, you know, in the solo lanes, they will naturally win these 1v1s if left in isolation. If there are any windows for Chirp to be able to go forward and trade, you know, consistently, he will out-sustain the Orianna and find leads, and especially the Fiora into the Gragas. So just a lot of farming from the Fury side and more, you know, covering from the direwolf side.
And you mentioned Chirp then. I think it's worth, getting the viewers familiar again if they weren't watching last split when Emphis last, showed up in this team. And, Chirp was obviously a function and a feature there for Fury 2. If you look back at last split, I would say that Chirp, for the most part, was actually a stronger laner, usually having bigger gold leads, bigger XP differences by the 10 to 15 minute mark, right? And I think a lot of Emphasis' strength came from his ability to find those picks, to be not like a self-sacrifice, much like, my lane doesn't matter, I just need to roam and sort of protect, but wasn't all about, I need to farm up these solo kills, I need to be incredibly aggressive to try and draw attention to my lane. It was, like we sort of mentioned before, right, the Ahri for the ability to link up your jungler, find those picks, the Karma to, sit back a second and say, I just need one item and then we're strong for these dragon fights and whatnot. So I'm sort of curious to see, during the break into coming into this team split 2 very later on, what has actually changed, and if we are going to be sticking with that same champion pool, has the gameplay itself improved?
Yeah, I'm curious as well because, when we think of Chirp as a player, I think he's a proficient laner. He always does well in his 1v1s. He always farms out well, but I think he is someone who is quite susceptible to falling over the ganks. I think we always see him, die to at least 1 or 2 ganks every single game because he does, play that a bit too aggressive, and especially in these kind of comps where Nox is playing the champion who does not want to be hovering around mid. Chirp needs to be a bit more self-sufficient in avoiding these ganks, especially on champs who cannot afford to fall behind. But on the other side of the river, if we look at Emphis, he is someone who plays a lot more of these, scaling mages, mobile assassins like LeBlanc, who just likes to abuse his timings, and if he doesn't really have a lot of vision, doesn't feel too comfortable putting himself in a position where he's going to fall behind.
Well, tell it, the pause is over, the teams are ready, the game is underway, and let's let ourselves into Summoner's Rift for the second time tonight for our second series, and a big one at that. I'm sure the players on Iron are looking at this one and really hoping for that 1-1 to make sure that they still have a very comfortable buffer with only another week of gameplay left to go. But both these teams really, really keen. I'm sure they're both all in with all this prep going towards this one matchup to guarantee the 2-0.
Yeah, and we get to see the early aggression out of Dirve, trying to get some vision down, start with the sweeper, deny the ward coming out of Hooper. So this might mean there is going to be some sort of invade happening in the early game, where they want to deny Zyra or track where Zyra is on the map, so Mayfine can either invade or potentially, start with a late level 1 invade.
Wondering if we were going to get that level 1 fight, but no flashes needing to be burnt, but the aggression certainly starting from the very get-go. We talk about the differences between these two junglers. That of the Zyra is going to be very quick to clear, whereas that of Mayfan, back to his favourite role of the jungle. He's going to have his work cut out for him. If the jungle gank doesn't work out, the opportunity cost is lost. You're going to only fall further and further behind, which can be a tricky situation to navigate, right? Do I need to try and almost like gank my way out of this hole that I've created? Or do I just take the L and find success elsewhere? And this is something we've not seen in quite a hot minute, right? 2 players just waiting in the bush, seeing who decides to step up.
Yeah, and this is something that is more common in Season 14, as you really do not need to leash your junglers anymore. The only reason we really see it is to, if you're playing something like Karthus into a Graves where they really want to invade level 2, you give him the leash so he's able to speed up his clear a lot more. You never ever leash because your jungler needs that assistance doing his first camp. You get so much sustain inside the jungle now that no one needs help. It's all about speed clears, and, giving that extra bit of a leash in the jungle in these susceptible matchups might mean that the enemy gets caught off guard with how fast you clear your jungle, and that's when you can really find early leads.
Speaking of those leads, it's going to be one also to keep an eye on, right? Make sure that the Fiora is held at bay. There's something about Direwolves, man. I swear, like, we have mid laners always rotating into the top lane. It started with Claire. Now we got here for Chungi as well.
How's
I'm
the
curious
first,
to sort of see. I'm very curious to see.
We've already seen Nox completing 3 camps, going into the 4th of Mayfan's jungle. Mayfan not even finished his 3rd camp yet. And Nox is just going to steal away his entire jungle. But, Mayfan did set up for that early level 1. They don't have vision of the camp, so he's walking in blind here. Not quite sure where Nox is, so you're going to feel a bit more cautious about stealing away these camps. Whereas, Nox knows, I'm clearing the jungle so much faster, and if he walks into me right now, I don't really care.
Don't really care, but I'm sure at the same time Mayfan is premeditated this one, but we have Pryo in the mid lane. Bot lane is working in our favor as well. Who's coming to stop me? And I'm sure he thinks at this stage absolutely no one, but no doubt Nox is in his comfort zone. That is his element. He likes to invade. That's what he mentioned to us only about, 10-15 minutes ago. He is very keen to get the ball rolling. So with a double buff and a Fiora already unleashed from lane at 3 minutes in, Emphis is the focus, and Emphis will be flashed upon with the root, but not for the kill.
Yeah, not quite sure why Prey has been. He had we're used to that third wave recall coming out of the top lanes, decides to roam mid on a champion, doesn't really have a lot of success in the early ganks or a lot of pressure on the mid wave, but just wants to be there in case Mayfan shows up and goes for the counter gank. Gonna stay in lane and really extend his recall to be able to find the best first space he can in his 1v1 because it is quite a free lane for him at this point.
Certainly should be. The Orianna is going to definitely be put back at bay, unable to try and weave in those auto attacks from the passive to make sure that this Yone doesn't have the freest time, but as we're seeing more and more, right, with the removal of the lethal tempo, Fleet is the go-to. The sustain is insane, especially because you've got the Door and Shield too. And once level 6 comes around, yeah, we can talk about the shockwave for the Orianna, but the kill threat from Chirp is just going to be sky high.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that with the addition of Fleet being the major rune for Yone now, he's just a lot more of a strong laner. You know, in times past, you could land some really good poke onto Yone in the early game, and he would usually have to recall. But now, because of this combo of Fleet, Doran Shield, and the sustained meta we're seeing in the mid lane from these bruises, just a lot more of a hard time for these mages in the early game.
Very hard time for Chungi as well, copying the L in this matchup as Prey's able to try and tap on down to those vitals and get that damage rolling from the very get-go. Does raise the question as to who is here to try and protect him, because if you look at the vision so far, that entire part of the river top side is lit up in Fury's favor, making it very difficult for Mayfan unless he has some creative pathing to find a way in. And speaking of Nox, he's going to be relentlessly targeting Emphis, you would imagine, knowing that, well, if your flash is down, I'll come at level 5, I'll come again at level 6, and we'll see if we can find it one more time.
Yeah, a lot of attention going to mid lane from Nox, but he's not wasting time when his camps are up. He's making sure there is nothing for him to do besides that gank. You know, the map is still staying split. We see that he is, positioning towards the Gromp again to steal that camp away, because if the map is split, it's much more favorable for Nox because he is guaranteeing his camps without any volatility happening to him in his jungle matchup.
Yep, no punishment from either of these junglers when they have gone in for those invades. And look, unfortunately, Telly, we hoped that with the start of the day and us having a pause from the very get-go as we loaded into the rift, maybe that would be our blessing in disguise, that we'd have no more pauses throughout the rest of the night. Unfortunately, it's not worked in that favor. It has gone against us. Beforehand, we had a microphone issue. Perhaps that is still lingering. We'll have to wait and see, but certainly you cannot afford to have any kind of communication problems when, these comps really do rely upon you linking up perfectly.
Well, Skimmy, it's time to ramble. This is what we're so good at. Okay, actually recently I got into TCG for the first time ever, so I started getting into some trading card games. Okay. I'm working into the One Piece, scene, because I think that the One Piece card game is actually really new, and it looks. I'm someone who was watching the show recently, so getting in there with King is also someone who's been doing it recently, and I think that it's just fun. Like, this is the first time ever starting collecting stuff, and honestly the unboxing is quite addicting. I can't lie.
I can imagine. Like, it seems perfect for King, right? He's a bit of a mount collector. Why not just collect cards as well? I mean, it fits the bill. You certainly can get some very nice shinies and maybe, earn a house deposit if it's a really good card as well. Who knows? I always look back at my Pokemon card collection and hope, was my Charizard the one that was worth all those bits of gold? Here we go, though, back into the game. Not the longest one, thankfully, for you, for us, and everybody else watching. As Chungi is taking a fair bit of damage here, but Prey has run himself and might not be able to be that much more of a menace.
Slows the Cookie's inventory so he can get that instant mana back. Nox is hovering around. If they do, want to go for a dive, it is quite hard to commit. I think that is going to be a wave collab. You see that, once again, Chungi able to sustain up thanks to that passive. That one is getting nerfed next patch, Skimmy, so hopefully we won't see any more of this, super tank Gragas in the top lane, and more so move back to the, really cool champions like the Gangplank, who is getting a buff next patch. So I'm really excited to see if that comes back into meta.
I would hope so, yeah. If we bring back the likes of GP, the list goes on, more AD options. We're happy. We're back to when you and the Chiefs ran this region. Certainly the comfort zone, to say the least. As, Nox just going to try and assist Prey in crashing that wave because he had little to no mana. Doesn't want to consume the biscuit at this stage, but he will peel away with the rest of his team and with the assistance of Chirp to go for those grubs. Cross-map play, though, as both these junglers have been rather allergic at finding one another.
Yeah, and this will always favor the jungler when they do these trades because grubs gives more experience than the dragon. Not significantly, not a significant margin, but it's still a lead for Nox to get, and he's going to be able to, go back to this map split. And I think this is really nice for, the solo laners of Fury. They have a side of the map to hover, so Mayfan doesn't really have gank angles, and in the 1v1s, they are going to be very comfortable.
They certainly will be. Let's see though if anything does come out very quickly, as Prey fresh off a reset, has level 6, so do majority of these solo laners now, so a chance for them to showcase just how strong they would be. Emphasis Flash will be up in, I want to say, about 10 to 15 seconds, but it will be too little, too late. Double ults cast by both the mid laners as they go all out to try and make this fight a winning one, but it's heavily against them as Fury have 3 and only Direwolves having 2. Shinky rocks up just a little bit too late to the party. A massive stun from Chirp to knock up 2 once again. The Flash only off cooldown now, being burnt to cover distance, and he's done enough to escape.
Yeah, and what a nice roam from Prey. Like, who was getting ganked there? Emphis and Mayfan thought they were setting up onto Chirp, being a bit too aggressive. But, you know, Prey using his timings. He's not just walking to lane and just AFKing as always, pushing back into him. Has access to the TP, so, you know, we see him roaming down here. And it's just a really good job by the side of Fury to play together as a team and not just leave these lanes to be, you know, bullied by the Direwolves roster. And using these flashes, using these summoners to punish Emphis. You know, Flash was not quite off cooldown yet. We got to see him use it on the very end, and that's just when it ticked off cooldown.
Yeah, it was so close to falling on down on that play, and that really would have spelled disaster because you cannot afford these duelists to get ahead. Especially now that Chunky goes, well, that's cool, guys. Really appreciate the fact that you've allowed Fury to come back to lane and be 1-0. So GG on that front. Whether or not that can translate into much more, because he's already got a very sizable CS lead too.
Yeah, and, you know, as we see this top lane match, it's just going to get even worse and worse, especially when Prey has the Demolish. He can stack these waves in, lose a bit of health, get the Demolish proc off, and then sustain it back up off the wave, especially when he does get that Ravenous Hydra. It's going to be very one-sided. Chungy is kind of on, you know, Fiora duty this game. Even if he does manage to get a solo kill and get ahead, it's going to get to a point where he loses the 1v1 no matter what, and he's kind of forced to just sit there and clear the waves, and that's something that is so frustrating about Fiora, is you're kind of on duty guarding your towers.
Yeah, it's a rough life up there. You're just basically told, just hold your own as best you can. Your true utility will come from when we do get a chance to group up as 5. Finally, it took us 9 minutes, but both junglers decide, you know what, we will go and trade against one another. Nox stealing away his own Gromp on that occasion as Mayfan's going to get bullied out of that jungle. Decides, you know what, I'm going to jump back in as he summons those Vine weapons and hits the Crescent Guard. Shinky jumps in as well. Steadfast Presence looking to try and deny it, but it's a little bit too late. The ultimate to empower the plants to knock up 2, and for Nox to retreat as he gets a kill in the process. Look how low their HP is as Katsuri is like, I need to run. If that rain of arrows was enough to cover distance, because Chirp has made the great trek from mid lane, and a single slash of his blade to get a kill too.
Yeah, and Hooper will walk a bit and cover that one up, but look at the power of the Zyra Skimmy, you know, really nice, you know, denial of the engage from Findo onto Shinky. It means that, you know, Charm doesn't land onto Nox, gets the Stranglethorns off, as we do see in the replay. This is just the extended trade coming out of Nox. So much, you know, damage coming through, but this is a really nice denial of the engage onto Nox, gets the Stranglethorns off, thankfully, from that denial, and that just means they don't find the trade onto the members of Fury, and just a really nice roam by Chirp using his priority to, you know, cover the bot side of Fury, and then because he's 80 carry isn't here on the map, he walks mid and also covers in return.
Roaming really has been the name of the game here from Fury, and they've been working up a treat in that regard. They've managed to find themselves a nice little 1k lead, only 10 minutes into this game. As we mentioned before, the different trades off those neutral objectives certainly there to favour Fury at this early stage, given that it is the AP jungler, and if you know, Nox can find that first item nice and quickly. Already sitting on those Sork boots to assist in doing that true damage very early on. Ravenous Hydra also done for Prey too, so they're already in a pretty scary prospect.
Yeah, that's a very scary item difference in the top lane. It's not even going to be a completed item coming out of Chungy yet. It's just going to be components sitting in the inventory, bursting the Ravenous Hydra, and the team is once again grouping up again. They want to get these objectives. Nox being very proactive about his communications, like, guys, I want to fight the grubs. Everyone come. Make sure if they match that we are ready to, you know, respond to that from the enemy team, and just really nice play from Fury, moving their members around the map, doing the correct thing. Chirp heading to the bot side of the map, doesn't have access to TP yet, but will have that advantage really soon.
We will have that advantage very soon. We will have another pause. I know everybody loves these. It's as frustrating as it is for us as I'm sure it is for you. But Telly, TCG, let's just carry on from where we left off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. I'm not at the point where I'd start playing the game, you know, you Yu-Gi-Oh! Duels and stuff, you know, you slam, like, I put down my Blue Eyes White Dragon in defense mode in my turn, you know, it's just a collection aspect of it that I really enjoy. But, you know, speaking of old cards, you need to mention it, like, I remember having, like, so many Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards as a kid, And I really regret not taking care of them because I know I had some really good cards.
I know, man. Yeah, definitely having those sleeves is a game changer. As soon as we go for filter talk, they say, you know what? This will be a quick pull, so don't worry about it. Straight back into the action we go again. Two junglers getting rowdy about it, but it will be Nox that falls for the first time this game. The Grubs with a focus. 5 went the way of Fury. They might get all 6.
Yeah, and I think it's really surprising that we see Fury group up with this Fiora, not with the Yone yet because they were quite split, but they're winning these fights, and I think that's a really good job to the team. Chirp, you know, out of position here, but maybe Chungy's the one out of position, Skinny.
Certainly could be the case. Fantastic shockwave there from Memphis. The zap across the wall from Hooper. Unable to truly get amongst that fight. Completely zoned out on that occasion. For good reason too, because it was a numbers mismatch. Prey's like, I don't want to group up. I am so strong individually. Let me get to work in the split push game.
And this is the problem with the Fury, you know, you group, you use your champ, which is good at team fighting for that, you know, one win away a fight, and all of a sudden, you've lost 75% of your tower's health, and this is why you need to be on Fiora duty and just sit in the side lanes, and it's so frustrating, no matter what you do in this matchup, it's just a timer at this point to, you know, when your base will start getting attacked.
Yeah, that's the scary one, right? When you say, we need to group up as 5 because our comp is built to team fight, but who actually has to answer to this Fiora? It's a scary thing to say already 12 minutes into this one. Who actually is built to deal with it? Because you don't want Chungy to deal with it. You don't want the Orianna to go towards that lane. And I start to run out of ideas as to, okay, well, maybe just the entire team needs to make sure that the Fiora is down for 40 seconds and then be able to play to their own style.
Yeah, and the usual way you answer these side laners is you have this really strong AD. You think of like the Kai'Sa roaming to the side lane and killing them with the top laner, but I don't think we have that same power with the Varus. It's quite scary, you know, with the fact that Prey can parry your entire damage coming out of that empowered Q when you play the, you know, lethality Varus. And I do like what Dials are doing right now, hovering the side laners and making sure they're able to get pushed out because Katsuri in the mid lane can clear this way from so far away.
Certainly range can be your best friend in some circumstances, but a single riposte just blocking out all that damage certainly is going to feel pretty bad. Despite all that though, it is Chunky that actually has a level lead at this point, which is certainly a nice little pickup. But what will that mean when they get to group up again? Because still it is Fury cooking, frying, getting it done as the plates are about to fall on down in 30 seconds. They've still got that 1k lead. And I'm just terrified, right? Because we already talk about how strong the Fury is at this stage with that completed item, but with the 6 grubs too, I mean, we could really just say, yeah, Chirp and Prey, go play your own game whilst the rest of us hold them down.
Yeah, but it also has to do with a lot of discipline because if Prey, you know, groups up when he shouldn't, especially at this point in the game, he does not want to be playing for those 5v5s. That is when he starts, you know, that is how you throw the game when you play this kind of comps. You really just want to nail it in that you want to stay on the side laners and split the enemy comp up of Dials. But it's also really nice to see, Skimmy, that we have an even game state for the first time in a lot of games. You know, we're quite used to seeing huge gold leads that are being ballooned at this point in the game, but the game state is quite even, and if these fights do happen, it's going to come down to execution and not item advantages.
It certainly could be about to swing on one team's favour in just a second as Chunky goes in for the TP double. Actually, as Emphis gets amongst it too. Shinky pops the quickness. Can only find the Poppy, but they'll settle for anything at this point of the game. They've gained the Herald, they've got the kill, and now they group up to push in the mids.
I won't lie, Findo kind of entered right there. You know, ult goes wide, wastes the W even when the engage wasn't there, so he's just a bit of a sitting duck for the bot lane of the members. But Emphis caught out in the long lane against the Fury, and I don't think he's going to be able to get out of this one at all.
There's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide, there's no tower to fall back to, there's no flash that will save you from this. The grand challenge is met, the vitals are tapped, and the kill is as easy as that. Same can be said for then Chirp. As Chungy's like, well, both these solo lanes really do suck for me, but I probably prefer the Yone.
Yeah, how fun is it, you know, you play your first game on top and all you have to do is just sit in the side lane for the entire game, just babysitting these side laning split pushes. It's quite frustrating, but if your team is winning, on the other hand, you know, you can think, oh, this guy can never hit the turret against me because I'm just going to keep clearing the wave with my barrels. Just fully charge it, throw on the wave, the cooldown goes out as soon as you use it and not when it pops, so you can clear these waves forever, and if your team is winning in that group of the 3v3 or 4v4, you are sitting pretty.
Certainly are going to be sitting pretty. Let's see if this can translate into much more than that, because the 1k lead very quickly became 2k. And it has been a very a slow-paced game in terms of the kills. You see very aggressive compositions, but only 8 kills in 15 minutes. Certainly biding our time, and I think it really does you know, double down on the identity that both these teams need items to come online. Yes, you could talk about the Yone spiking very quickly with the Blade of the Rune King and tier 2 boots and say, you know what, job done, you're fully burst. But for the rest of them, it's a case of we need 1, 2, we certainly need a lot more, and I think really we're, you know, setting the standards that it is going to be the Prey vs Katsuri show.
Yeah, and I'm curious, you know, as you do mention items and what people are going to build, I'm curious to what, you know, Prey and Chirp do want to itemize towards, because we see a lot of different builds when it comes to these bruises. And I think that since Prey is so fed this game, so far the clock, he can go for that defensive item as a third and still be able to do the damage he needs to win these 1v1s and to be able to kill these members in the team fights with these flanks. Same with Chirp, you know, we see multiple different Yone builds where they go for the, you know, we see Shield Bow seconds, we see Kraken Blade seconds, we see Frozen Fist, so there's a lot of different iterations you can do on these champions to fulfill your role in the comp.
Little fun fact for you, Telly, that I just found out then. 7 Fiora games have ever been played in the LCO. 7 losses! So hopefully, Prey can look to say, you know what, 8th game is the charm, and that's what gets us across the finishing line. It's actually a bit of a star-studded roster of the players that did pick it up in the end. It was Winterer, Maximize, Toppy, Patrise, as well as River.
Not the Max Fiora. Oh no, sitting in the side lane for 30 minutes. Guys, why are you losing? I'm splitting, I'm winning, guys, I swear.
Oh, I remember those games. He was not a happy man. A case of like, let's go to the Baron, but how do I walk in and actually go for the pincer? They just turn. As a 5-man unit, they just turn to the Fiora and say, oh, well, it's a 4v5 now. But look, Max is living his best life, enjoying a much-deserved vacation. Maybe if he tunes in and sees that snippet, he can have a little bit of a laugh and, you know, cry about it on the beach somewhere. Either way, though, Herald comes out to play.
Oh no, I've seen this happen before, Skimmy.
I don't know if I like this one, Memphis. I really don't know if this is the play, because the ult comes out, the flash from Findo. Oh no, what was that from Chirp? That Soul Unbound covered so much ground and really made sure that they guaranteed a kill.
I had a bit of deja vu, if anyone remembers the Faker Rift Herald incident where he took that one in, and if Poppy, you know, is there with that steadfast presence to deny the pop out, you just sit on top of the Rift Herald. But Findo wasn't there in time, but he is for that E-flash that he finds onto Emphis, and that's a crucial member of Direwolves going down. And this is the map being broken open, and if the Ori is alive, they can never hit these towers.
We certainly can't. So difficult now, and the goal just continues to get further and further ahead. Very steady sailing here for Fury. Isn't a case of complete destruction of taking down the entire squad, but a pick here and a pick there is just giving them those incremental leads, which you certainly do love to see. Second Dragon about to be picked up by them, and with it being a Cloud Soul, I think this is probably the best case scenario. Yes, we love our Hex Gates, we love our Infernal Souls, but these team comps from Fury, they love mobility.
Yeah, absolutely. You do want the, you know, utility out of the Dragon Souls when you're playing champs. You do so much damage. You know, you don't need an Infernal Dragon. You don't need the the Hex deck. You want the sustain from an Ocean. You want the move speed from a Cloud Soul. You want the resistance from a Mountain Dragon. These are what really enable you to just do, you know, things your champs shouldn't be able to do in most of these fights. And you know, if they do manage to pick up that Cloud Soul, you know, champs like the Zeri, like the Yone, like the Fiora, it just makes them so strong.
So difficult to try and shut on down now, as 2 items have been complete by both the Fiora and the Zeri. Terrifying prospects, and I wouldn't put it past them to actually look at a very early initiation towards the Baron, for instance. That's up in a minute. Baiting the likes of Direwolves, win a team fight there, and really, you know, assert your dominance in this series. Up by 4k so far. They look for the pick on toward 2-Pip. I said he's strong. Not anymore. Dead for 30 seconds.
Yeah, so Mayfarm builds up the, you know, the Q stacks onto Findo. Unfortunately, Hooper walks in range of that knockup, and this is the classic Xin Zhao gauge. You know, E knockup, paired it up with ACC from the team, and it's an easy kill. But the problem is they're finding these kills while their side lanes are being pushed in, and they can't start the Baron because it's just not up yet.
Yeah, it's so rough, right? It's the chance to say, yep, this would be a great turnaround, but nothing to be picked up at this stage. And Fury can continue to be a menace in those side lanes and say you're never going to be able to truly group up as 5, because we're going to keep you so preoccupied in this map, running around all the time, extinguishing all the fires, which is certainly not where they want to be.
Yeah, and we see the Shield Bow being completed for Chirp, and the Triforce already being created for Prey. So they have 2 items on their sides already. They're going to win these 1v1s extremely hard. They have the sustain to be able to start chipping away at these towers, and we already saw Shinky hovering the top side to, you know, help Emphis out. They don't have kill pressure onto these champions. All they can do is really, you know, save their members if Chirp or Prey decide to go forward.
Let's see what the next game plan is then, because you mentioned already the 2-item spikes being a massive factor that's allowed Fury to be as aggressive as they have been. And it's not to say that Emphis is going to be weak, but he needs much more than just the Ludens at this stage to make sure that Shockwave can quickly snap, react, take them out of the fight. Maybe catch them off guard with a riposte on cooldown. That certainly could be the difference maker here. Mid lane being the focus, and the vision, I mean, surely at this stage you want to make it so defensive to make sure you can't get collapsed upon a mid.
Yeah, and how annoying is Zyra Skimmy? You know, you're just trying to walk up, find an angle onto any of these champions, and he's just sending out these little, you know, seed spitters to just harass you, give vision, slow you down with the Rylai's, poke you down with the Leandries, do a little bit of chip damage that will really start to add up because there's just no sustain from these members in the core 3.
Does really feel like we're playing a game of Plants vs Zombies, right? Just a case of clearing out them all day long. It's an infinite wave of those rampant growths to try and get on through.
Look at the Baron, Skimmy.
There is the Baron. I mean, this is definitely what we've been excited to see, right? Plant all the seeds, do it on Spool. Not quite the case here. He does have the ultimate, but knowing that Direwolves are just around the corner, does want to take the gamble.
He's stacking up a lot of seeds in the pit. They don't recognize that this bush is what they're standing on right now, but there goes the engage from Chirp.
Chirp has gone in, committed the ultimate, snap back with the Soul Unbound. Fido on the hunt, or rather Findo. Yeah, maybe Fido could play a support in another reality. It's neither here nor there. I'm sure he'll forgive me for that mix-up. But either way, Fido is going to try and do what he can to keep them back at bay and say, look, more and more plants are going down, but they're on vision.
Drop the pink, guys. Sweep the bush. You're on the wall. I think it's kind of weird that, you know, there is no face checking coming out of Direwolves, and they think they don't have vision of Baron, so he's gonna walk back over that bush now, recognize that it's watered, and the Chains of Corruption go wide. Prey is grouped up.
This is scary now. Instantly knocks, pounces upon them, hits them with the stun. The root is fantastic. Two-man Stranglehold and instantly says bye-bye to Shinky. No chance to turn things around. The challenge is laid down too. And these duelists are just so strong. That's what they were looking for, and now this Baron is an absolute steal.
Yeah, who cares if you have duelists and you can't win these teamfights when you have a Zyra who can just flash forward, you know, find engage onto the 2 frontline members of Direwolves and just completely blow them up in that fight so easily. You know, you would think that the trade would come back with the damage from the Varus and Orianna, but they are just so strong right now that they can just, you know, circumnavigate that altogether.
We certainly can. Very quickly then is a case of them figure out, well, what is our next move? These crucial ultimates that work so well together being chucked out individually, and the pace in which that fight worked out, no response from Direwolves.
Yeah, you know, coming out of the replay straight into another fight, but Chungi uses the flash. He doesn't create enough distance, and this will be him going down to these, you know, side laners who are just so strong from Fury, and it's so nice to see that. Oh, no, maybe there is just a bit more when it comes to the meta. Maybe there's just a lot more variance, and we have to be careful about blind picking certain champions.
Yeah, welcome to top lane, Chungi. You just get dived upon by 2 champions, and you're like, well, that's cool. That should have been me. That should have been me in the mid lane, but that's not where we're at right now. Varus locked in place. Katsuri burning the barrier, had no flash and had no chance to survive through all of that damage. 6-0 is the combined scoreline of the Fiora and the Yone. They certainly are looking to try and be the stars of the show, but the Zyra, as you mentioned, really is allowing them to do just so much.
Yeah, and the options or the win conditions for Direwolves just seem to keep running out. You know, they don't really have the tools to deal with these silence anymore. It's so hard for them to engage on the 3, you know, thanks to this Poppy and thanks to the Zyra. They just, as the more items come through, more damage from Nox, and, you know, even that Sonya's is picked up, as he eventually becomes someone they can't engage on anymore because he has ways to disengage. It's going to be a very hard game for Direwolves to come back into.
Certainly is. You hit the nail on the head on that one. They are very quickly running out of options as to getting themselves back into this one. Thankfully, I say, they've managed to deny at least one of those Drakes, so there is no sole point to compound with the fact that they've just picked up the Baron too. So this push on all 3 lanes isn't going to be anywhere near as scary as it would have been otherwise. But, I mean, I suppose there's a world in which they almost hope that the inhibitors get taken, so they have some free farm, and you know, the likes of Emphis and Chungi can actually get some value to then try and answer back.
Yeah, the one saving grace, you know, for the Direwolves comp versus the silence, they are not good at breaking the base, right? So when there are no objectives left on the map to force you to leave your side lanes and, you know, group up, you are good at clearing the ways. You know, the Orianna, the Gragas can really hold down these side lanes, and as you mentioned, if these inhibitors go down, if they do get a lot of downtime when it comes to farming these super creeps, it's going to be a lot of gold going to the pockets of multiple members from Direwolves, and might be the chance for them to get back into the game and maybe find picks onto these side laners.
Here we go again. Out comes the Shockwave. Fantastically denied there by Prey with the riposte. It's taken all 5 members to shut this Fiora down, but quickly look at the base, guys. 2 lanes getting attacked at once. 1 inhibitor is a guarantee, but a second is on the cards.
Yeah, and this is how you break the base. You use the side lane pressure. They're playing 3 lanes. They're matching their waves. And as one member is attacking, instead of rotating and, you know, playing for that team fight, even though they are stronger, they're like, okay, guys, this is our one window to break the base. Let's go for it.
You certainly have done a very great job at finding value in the death of Prey. Makes it that much easier now to work towards that GG condition. Is there any luxury in finding an inhibitor to freely farm up? That does definitely deny you ever wanting to group up as 5 to try and force a fight, but the luxury would be that, yeah, 2.5 minutes before the synchronized respawn of that Baron and that Cloud Soul is up. And I mean, is that enough time to get yourself in a comfortable position? Because level 16 is only now just being picked up by Chungy, but it's probably Emphis lagging behind the most.
Yeah, and it doesn't, as the game goes on, regardless of how much experience Chungy gets, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse for him because he just won't have the damage to be able to take down this hero. Prey even decides to go for the armor option instead of the magic resist, so he does not care about Chungy at all. Will get the magic resist as a 4th item, but you know, one of the major things is the teleport will be available for both of these side laners. So if Direwolves decide to commit to one of his objectives, they have to worry about the other side of the map being attacked.
Will we get any X-Peke gaming? That is the question. As Chirp jumps in, instantly gets Shockwave there, and finds what he's after. Removes the jungler from the equation very quickly. And it's the brilliance of the comp that Fury have put together. They can just fight all day long. Bot, top, 2 plays at 2 different times. It does not matter because they have the damage and they have the mobility. But Chungy says, watch this, and doesn't fail the flash across the wall.
Yeah, great escape by Chungy, but unfortunately Mayfan goes down. Chirp has that shield bow which absorbs the entire Orianna ult. Doesn't even pop that one, so we can see how strong it is, you know, with the buff that came out a couple patches ago. It is now going to be a 720 health shield at that max rank, but Hooper playing really aggressive here.
He is very aggressive. He's really going to try and find that montage moment and wants the limelight to be back on him rather than everybody else on his team, but cops so much damage in the process. Has the Bloodthirster, but needs a wave to hit to try and regen all that HP back. We'll just actually go into the jungle instead and use the camps as that way back into this one and make sure that all 3 lanes keep having this incredibly high line. I mean, quick stock check of the vision. You cannot leave your base because if you do, Fury know exactly where you are.
And Chirp going aggressive, misses the ult, so hopefully Emphis doesn't die to the, you know, the classic, you know, miss everything, kill you anyway. But he does fall down. There is no Zhonya's coming out of Emphis there. A very, you know, aggressive Orianna build because it is the correct way to push the game. When you are behind, building defensive is kind of going to seal the deal for you because you won't be doing any damage. You need to be aggressive when it comes to your item builds to be able to, you know, when those windows do come for that big shockwave, the damage will count.
Well, that is really what we're gambling on now, right? You're really hoping that the Rabadons can get picked up here by the Orianna, and perhaps one big team fight, somebody caught lacking, that could turn it around, and this 10k lead no longer is of much concern. But the Baron is up in 20 seconds. Nox is patiently waiting on its respawn.
He's gardening.
I mean, he's pruning the garden. He's making it look great. The feng shui is fantastic. And I mean, he doesn't even need the rest of his team to be there. He literally can do it all on his own.
Yeah, the one nice thing about having someone tank the Baron for you is you don't do the reduced damage to the Baron because the person tanking will be doing reduced damage. But another big ult coming out of Chirp.
It certainly is. He's going to find a lot of damage as a result. 2 kills, 2 members. Out goes the cast though. Chungy's had enough. And they do get the shutdown. It goes the way of Emphis. That's certainly going to help him find what he's after in that Rabadons. But is it too little too late? They've won the fight without Nox. Nox is getting the Baron. Now they say, look, watch this. Fino says, I'm a support. And I'll take you down as well. The Orianna having blown everything in the kit, having no flash for another 10 seconds. Too little too late. And with the Baron and a super minion, this is Fury claiming game 1.
And why did Chirp ever play mages when he is so good at these AD mid laners? You know, he's doing so well at navigating around these team fights, knowing how to use that shield bow really well to get that extra bit of damage off in the fights, finding so many solo kills and nice ults. I think that this is a new look for Fury, especially with the pickup of Prey. They look so dominant.
It certainly is a new look, and it's great to see that they found a level of cohesion in this meta where it's like we need to conform to some degree, make it work on brand for us. But ever since they've made that switch with the Neferi games, now into the Yone, it's no longer a case of, yeah, just ban away the Azirs, these control mages, and we win up against them. They have got so much newfound depth. They're a tough ask to try and take on down, and let's see if they can claim all 3 points right after this.